So first things first, remember to preheat your oven at 375. Here are the things that we're going to need. 3 tablespoons of butter melted, and you should do this first off so it cools down so it doesn't kind of cook the eggs when you mix everything together. I have 1 cup of flour, 1 cup of sugar. I have 1 teaspoon baking powder here, 1/4 teaspoon salt. The traditional recipe kind of calls for 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, but I really love this stuff, so I did more like a tablespoon and a teaspoon. Whoopsies. 4 cups of milk. I have the egg whites separated here and the egg yellows. If you don't remember which one is which, a yolk starts with the letter Y for yellow. So yellow is yolk, and that's how I remember it. And you're gonna need some good old cinnamon to sprinkle over the top. I'm gonna use some oil to just kind of oil or grease up my little pie pan. This is a 9-inch. And I will be doing my egg whites first and making them into peaks. So to make sure that there's no oil in my bowl, I'm gonna rub down everything with some vinegar just to make sure. So first off, I'm going to just go ahead, take some white vinegar, put it on a little bit of paper towel, and just kind of degrease this bowl. Even though there might not be any grease, there is actually grease on your hands, or if this has been on the counter and you've been cooking, there might be grease in there. So once you have it free of grease, make sure not to touch the inside of this bowl anymore. And this is going to be my first step because I will be touching oil as well. So I want to make sure that I don't have residual oil on my hand, which will basically make this step useless if I don't do it very well. And I'm also kind of doing the whisk. So first off, we're going to be making egg white peaks. So we're just going to pour in our 3 egg whites and kind of get started on that. So what we're trying to achieve here is peaks. So I'll show you. As you can see, it is kind of holding its own shape, and that's what it means to have kind of like a peak in your egg whites. So that's perfect. Let's just grab a spatula. So you can see it's pretty nice, firm, light, and fluffy. I'm gonna kind of dump this into a bowl and set it in the fridge. It has to stay cold, otherwise it will fall. So here we have our egg whites, and I'm just gonna plop this into the fridge. So I'm just gonna give this bowl a rinse, and then we can get started on the rest. So next up, I'm just going to get my pie dish ready and apply a little bit of oil onto my paper towel and get all the edges and ridges. And now our dish is ready. Just make sure it's evenly coated and kind of greased up. Ooh yeah. Back to our mixing. So next up, we're going to be taking our melted butter and pouring that in. And mine is at room temperature, so I won't be ruining my eggs. And all of the white sugar goes in there, and we'll give that a mix. Once you see it's properly combined, just throw in your 3 egg yellows Next, we're gonna be adding our flour in. And our baking soda and our salt. So it's coming together really nicely, but I can see some of our ingredients sneaking away on the sides, not getting incorporated. So just make sure you take the time to scrape your sides at least once. Next, we'll be adding our milk. And my beloved vanilla extract. So I think that's nicely stirred up. And we'll go and get the egg whites from the fridge. So since we didn't take all that long, you can see that my whites didn't fall at all. We're just going to kind of fold it in. To make sure this combines, we're going to mix this really, really lightly. You don't want to undo what you've done by adding all that air in, but we have to make sure that they combine. So really, really light. So all of mine has come together, and I'm going to pour it into the dish that we prepared earlier. So up next, we'll be taking our ground cinnamon and just sprinkle it all over the top. I happen to like cinnamon, so I was obviously generous. I'm just going to wipe down my edges, and then we'll pop this into the oven. We'll be baking this for 25 minutes in our preheated oven, and then we'll be reducing to 325 and bake for another 25 to 30 minutes. When you jiggle it, the middle should be set. You can eat this warm or cold. If it's raining, I eat this puppy warm. But if it's nice and hot outside like today, I'm gonna take the time to chill this properly and have it after supper. Worth all the wait, that's for sure. Now let's get this into the oven.